In this video, we'll be ranking my top 5 best and worst back exercises. This means we have 5 top tier exercises that everyone should consider adding into their training routines, and 5 that you definitely want to avoid. Just because an exercise isn't in my top 5 list, doesn't mean that it's not a good exercise. Throughout this video, I'll also talk about the specific reasons for my rankings. Now let's get started on the best back exercises. Starting at number 5, we have the Smith Machine Bent Over Rows. This is a highly effective exercise targeting your lats, traps, rhomboids and lower back simultaneously. What sets it apart is the incredible range of motion it offers. You can fully stretch and contract your back muscles throughout the entire movement. The versatility with your grip and hand placement also allows you to focus on different parts of your back. So whether you want to emphasize your lats or your upper back, it's as simple as adjusting your hand position, making this a staple in my back days. Coming in at number 4, we have lat pull downs. Lat pull downs are a must in everyone's workout routine, as they play a key role in developing the latissimus dorsi and upper back muscles. I personally prefer the plate-loaded variation over the classic cable lat pull-down because it provides a more natural hand position and consistent range of motion. This in turn allows for greater control of the exercise. You're also able to do this plate-loaded version one arm at a time, offering better muscle contraction, tension, and stimulus for your back. At the end of the day, which pull-down variant you decide to do comes down to your preference. What matters most is including lat pull-downs into your training routine. Now let's move to the third best back exercise, pull-ups. Pull-ups are the gold standard for developing upper body strength. Regardless of your fitness level, this exercise is an efficient and effective way to engage the muscles in your back. Pull-ups are not only a 10 out of 10 for beginners to athletes, but no exercise compares to its ability to endlessly progressive overload, always guaranteeing that you leave the gym with a very sore back. The ability to adjust the level of difficulty is also why it's in my top 3. Start with the machine-supported pull-ups, before working your way to the bodyweight, and then weighted belt pull-ups. Moving to the second best back exercise, the T-bar rows. T-bar rows were so close to being number 1 on my list. They effectively target the middle and lower back muscles, traps, lats, and upper back. My top 3 variations are the chest-supported T-bar rows, the landmine T-bar rows, and my favorite of the 3, the machine T-bar rows. The freedom to choose different handle attachments, such as V-bars or wide grip handles, as well as positioning your hands and elbows in whichever grip you prefer, makes this the perfect exercise for your goals, whether it's thickness, width, or overall muscular development. Which leads us to what, in my opinion, is the ultimate back exercise, the chest-supported, plate-loaded rows. If you're not including this into your workouts, you are simply missing out on a lot of back gains. What sets this apart is the chest support and position of the handles, which minimizes the risk of cheating through momentum. It offers consistent and targeted tension, perfect stability, control, endless progressive overload, and unmatched range of motion, which all contributes to a wide, strong, and proportionate back. You're also able to adjust the height of the seat, stabilize yourself on the platform, and perform these rows one arm at a time, effectively targeting any area of your back. Now we'll be shifting our focus from the best exercises to those that you may want to reconsider in your workouts. To start my list of the top worst exercises, coming in at number 5, we have single arm dumbbell rows. I'm referring specifically to the non-supported version that you're seeing on screen. This is in the worst list due to the strain it places on your lower back and abdomen region when rowing in a forward-leaning, hunched-over position. The isolation, time under tension, and progressive overload capabilities aren't the greatest either, and therefore, it's very common to have poor form and barely any muscle engagement where you need it. So unless you're using them as a warm-up or finisher with high reps and low weight, it's not worth doing them. Coming in at number 4, we have Smith machine shrugs. While shrugs can be effective for targeting the upper trapezius muscles, using a Smith machine has a lot of drawbacks. First off is the setup and position that this exercise forces you in, which limits your ability to fully engage, stimulate, or contract the trapezius muscles. The natural motion of our shoulder blades during a dumbbell shrug cannot be replicated with a Smith machine. As a result, you're unable to achieve the same level of muscle activation or range of motion. For these reasons, you're much better off with a forward-leaning dumbbell shrug over this version. The third worst back exercise is rack pulls. How rack pulls became popular is beyond me. It involves setting up at or above knee height on a power rack, which is its primary problem. By starting from such an elevated position, you bypass a substantial portion of the lift, missing out on the full range of motion that exercises like deadlifts provide. This pretty much defeats the whole purpose of this exercise, and since the difficulty of a rack pull is non-existent, ego lifting thrives. There is zero benefit to adding this in your training routines. Now in the top 2 worst back exercises, I strongly advise you not to include the next 2 into your workouts: behind the back barbell shrugs. Okay, now we're entering injury territory. Holding the barbell in this position internally rotates your shoulders, and when you add weight to the bar, as you see me doing, it only increases the likelihood of injury. Simply put, there's significantly less range of motion, muscle tension, stimulus, contraction, or really any benefit for your upper trapezius muscles, like many people might think. The final and worst back exercise of them all, that became popular from gym bros with half a brain, the behind the neck lat pull downs. I'm not even joking. Just demonstrating this exercise for this video was uncomfortable and stressed my shoulders and rotator cuffs with no advantage over the classic lat pull down. Both the risk of injury and limited range of motion are the main issues when performing this movement. I'm reluctant to even call it an exercise. It forces your shoulders in a very unnatural position, which will eventually lead to impingements and chronic shoulder issues, undermining your overall training progress. So I hope that you've learned something from today's video that you can take and apply into your own training. Finally, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching or training programs, the links to my website are available in the description below. While you're there, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up and slap the subscribe button for a yearly supply of gains. For more videos like this one, you can find them right here.